Good Thursday afternoon, everybody. It's May 23rd, and it's time to talk fantasy baseball once again. This is Arnie. It's Arnie's Fantasy World of Sports, and why don't we just jump right in that pool and go swimming right away? How about that? A lot of great action yesterday. Doubleheader, St. Louis, Kansas City. I tell you, a guy. Think about Marcell Ozuna for a moment. He is hot and he's cold. I'm telling you, yesterday he was hot. He went 3 for 8. He had 2 doubles, a home run, 5 RBIs, a walk, and 2 runs in the doubleheader against the Royals. He was probably the most productive Cardinal in the doubleheader. They lost game 1. They won game 2. His home run in the nightcap was his 14th of the season. And he's hit safely now in 4 straight games. He does have a career-low 239 average, but he has really been, I guess, delivering when the Ducks have been on the pond, so to speak. He has a major league leading 45 RBIs, tied with Josh Bell, who hit his second baseball into the big river outside the stadium in Pittsburgh yesterday. Yeah. Bell, I guess you'd say, went swimming in the Allegheny once again. It's the second time this month he has hit a baseball from home plate directly into the Allegheny River outside the stadium. It's only happened 4 times ever, and Josh Bell has now done it twice in this month. Check out these numbers of Josh Bell. He's hitting .329, 32 runs scored, 15 home runs, 45 RBIs. I listened to Lenny Melnick at a show before drafts this season, and Lenny Melnick was telling everybody, go get Josh Bell. Well, if you did, great move, okay? I'm telling you, he is on fire. Yes, he is. And so, what a great game for Bell. Pittsburgh hanging around. We'll go through the standings in just a moment. Just going through some of the players yesterday who had great games. And he is certainly at the top of that list. I tell you a player to maybe keep your eye on. I think he's not very valuable personally. But how about Todd Frazier? J.D. Davis was in the Mets outfield yesterday. And it appeared that a week ago, Davis had unseated Frazier for the top job at third. But now there should be room in the lineup for both because, as you know, Michael Conforto, Brandon Nimmo, Robinson Cano, Jeff McNeil, all on the injured list within the past week. And because of the losses to injury, the Mets have now moved J.D. Davis into the outfield. He's expected to have an everyday role in left field, which leaves the hot corner open up for the 33-year-old Frazier. Now, I am not saying you should go add Todd Frazier to your fantasy team right now. I am not saying that. I personally think he may be a little bit of garbage, but if he were to hit, he's going to get the opportunity. And you know my theme on this show is opportunity, opportunity, opportunity. And so we'll keep our eye on how Frazier does, and also keep your eye on J.D. Davis in the outfield. He's third base eligible in most leagues. Soon, if he gets these starts in the outfield, he'll be outfield eligible as well. Davis has had a pretty decent year, and I think of the two, I'm more leaning towards Davis if I needed a corner, infielder, or an outfielder. So let's keep our eye on that situation as well. How about Brandon Lau of the Rays? Lau, he went 2 for 4 yesterday with an RBI single and a run in a win over the Dodgers. He's now hit safely in 6 of his last 7 games. And I know Lau strikes out a lot, but he also makes a lot of contact. So he's one of those players, although he might strike out, he can still hit 300. He's had multi-hit efforts. That's the 6th time in May he's done that. He has had a April where he hit 321, and now he's hitting 288 on the season with 8 extra base hits, 4 doubles and 4 home runs, 11 RBIs, 3 walks, and 9 runs in his last 17 games. I'm a big proponent of Brandon Lau. He's going to get at bats. They've also got him playing outfield. So if he's not outfield eligible in your leagues, he probably will be soon if they keep letting him play. So, and he will play. So look for him to have infield, outfield eligibility. Now, a player who'd been heating up for the Nationals, and boy, they needed somebody to heat him up, was Gerardo Parra. He didn't play Thursday. He's not in the lineup Thursday. He was on the bench Wednesday, and he is in line to lose some at-bats. Matt Adams returned from the injured list on Wednesday. Matt Adams, left-handed bat. Parra, left-handed bat. But Adams is the preference of the Nationals at first base for the strong side platoon. And so it looks like it's going to be Adams and Howie Kendrick platooning at first going forward. And so Parra will now be relegated, it appears, to a full-time reserve, both at first and in the outfield. What that means is, if you had Parra on your fantasy team and you're looking for opportunity, well, you need to look elsewhere. If you're playing in a daily league, keep your eye on the lineup of the Tampa Bay Rays. And specifically, look for Guillermo Heredia, the outfielder. Yesterday, Heredia went 3 for 4 with a run in the win over the Dodgers. And he's really been impactful hitting out the bottom part of that order for the Rays. He's had 2 consecutive starts, Tuesday and Wednesday. During those 2 games, he went 5 for 7 with a double, 2 runs. He's been in the lineup the last 2 nights, and that's why, even though the Dodgers have thrown 2 left-handers at them, in Clayton Kershaw and Rich Hill, not chopped liver, right? Heredia is 10 for 25 in May. That's a 400 average. He is a reserve. He'll back up all 3 outfield spots, but he should get playing opportunities. I'm just saying, if you're in a daily league, keep your eye on Heredia while he's hot. He may be worth an add in a daily league. I don't think I'm adding him season long, but if an injury would come up, he certainly looks like the first player to come in off the bench. And we know Kevin Kiermaier has had a history of injuries. So just a guy to keep your eye on going forward. I tell you what, the Yankees, of course, their home stadium is Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. Well, they may soon want to say they have a home away from home, and that would be Camden Yards. I'm telling you, are the Yankees just not rolling coming into Thursday's game against Baltimore? They had won 3 in a row at Camden Yards, and a major reason for that, 2 players. First, let's take a look at Gleyber Torres. I tell you what, is there a hotter hitter right now in the league than Gleyber? Over his last 5 games, okay, he is 8 for 20, and that's a 400 average. All right, that's coming into play on Thursday. But over his last 3 in Camden Yards, he's 5 for 12 with 4 home runs and 5 RBIs. Gleyber is hitting .302 on the season, 28 runs scored, 12 home runs, 26 RBIs, and 3 stolen bases. He's owned in every league. I'm only suggesting Gleyber Torres as a possible trade candidate. He's shortstop and second base eligible. He's a great player. And boy, don't the Yankees wish they could play Baltimore in Camden all year. And if the Orioles aren't tired of seeing Gleyber Torres, I know they're also probably just as ready to move along with Gary Sanchez. Gary, over the last 3 games coming into Thursday's play against Baltimore, 5 for 14 against the Orioles, 3 home runs and 9 RBIs. Gary Sanchez is now hitting .270 on the season, 15 home runs, 31 RBIs, 20 runs scored. And, you know, as you came into draft season, a lot of skepticism about Sanchez because of the poor season he had last year. I mean, it was not good, right? But Sanchez, he has put those storms behind him, and this year it's been sunny days. Yes, it has, and it's been a great 3 games so far in Baltimore coming into Thursday's action with that .270 average and 15 homers and 31 RBIs on the season. I just look for Sanchez to continue to rake, to continue to hit with power, and if he stays healthy, is Sanchez not a 40 home run candidate this year? I'm telling you. And can you imagine the Yankees when they get their boppers back in Stanton and Judge and Gregorius? Oh my gosh. The guys that have played admirably. Sanchez and Gleyber Torres at the top of that list. The thing I didn't quite get about Aaron Boone is today in the early game, and we'll talk about those scores in just a few minutes, but he sat Gleyber Torres and he sat Gary Sanchez against Dylan Bundy. And Bundy has had success against those 2 hitters, but, you know, if he wants to give them a day off, I just wonder, did he think about giving them Friday off instead of Thursday? Anyway, we'll talk about those games in just a few minutes, but I do know that Torres and Sanchez, it's home away from home every time they go to Camden Yards. So we're about 50 games into the season, and I want to take a look at the standings for just a moment, go through some of those, and as we get through the standings, we may talk about some players who may be traded, okay? Now, we know we have Kimbrel out there waiting for the draft day so that some team can land him as a free agent, closer, or definitely help in the bullpen. But there are other players on teams who may be fading that may be of interest to some contenders. Let's look at the standings first, though. In the American League, the Yankees at 31-17 sit atop the American League East. They've won 4 in a row, 8 of 10, and they lead the Tampa Bay Rays by 2 full games, who are 28-18. The Red Sox 5.5 games out at 26-23. Toronto at 20-29, 11.5 out, and the Orioles 16.5 out and losers of 5 in a row. In the American League Central, the Twins winning 2/3 of their games. They're 32-16. They've won 7 out of 10 and 2 in a row. They lead the Indians now by 7 full games in the Central. The Indians lost 3 in a row to Oakland, swept by the swinging A's. We'll talk about them in just a moment. The White Sox are 10 games out. The Detroit Tigers are 13 games out. They have lost 2 in a row and lost 9 of 10. And the Kansas City Royals 15.5 out in the American League Central. In the West, now Houston still a big lead, but when we talked on Tuesday, the lead has shrunk a little bit. And there's one team in particular that I'm interested in that division. Now Houston, they're 33-17. They have played 50 games. They are winners of 8 of 10, and they lead the Texas Rangers by 7.5 games. Okay? They lead the Oakland A's now by only 8. The A's have won 7 out of 10. Frankie Montas looks like an ace. Jesus Luzardo isn't that far away. The A's pitching is going to improve, okay? Trinan, whatever injury bug he had, it's over. He's looked sharp coming in relief. They've won 3 in a row, and they now trail the Astros by 8 games. Now, they may not catch the Astros, but I think the A's will be a wild card player as we go through the season. The Angels have dropped now to 10 back, and again, we talked about it Tuesday. The Mariners, who were so hot at the beginning, they sit in last place now in the American League West, 11 games behind the Houston Astros. In the East, you have the Philadelphia Phillies at 28-21. They have a 1.5 game lead over Atlanta, a 4.5 game lead over the Mets, a 9 game lead over Washington, and an 11.5 game lead over the Marlins. Let's talk about the Nationals. You know, Bryce Harper, of course, the much publicized signing with Philadelphia, the longtime face of the Nationals, he has been gone all year. And really now probably the best hitter you can count on day in, day out. Of course, you could talk about their shortstop, but I like to talk about Anthony Rendon. And Rendon's hitting over 320. He was not signed to an extension. And so with Washington so far out, Rendon, who turns 29 in June, could be a free agent at the end of the year if they don't get busy signing him. And so I wonder, with Washington off to a 19-30 start, if the Nats might be looking to shop Rendon. Okay, so he has played exclusively at third base since 2016. But remember, before that, he did start 165 games at second base during his first 3 years in the majors. So here are some teams and some thoughts on trade suitors, if you will, for Anthony Rendon. How about the Yankees? Okay, always got to talk about the Yankees, right? Miguel Andujar, of course, is now out for the season, and Gio Urshela, he's been a pleasant surprise for the Yankees, filling in both hitting and in superb defense in the field. But what if he regresses back to what he was before this season? Okay, the Yankees are in the mix. They're leading the East. They expect Didi Gregorius back in June or July, which could allow DJ LeMahieu to play third. LeMahieu, though, he's very valuable to the Yankees moving around the field. So, although right now there may not be a need for Rendon, never doubt the Yankees trying to upgrade at a position, and Rendon is certainly that. How about the Indians?